Hello again with Wanley Falls. I'm Scott.
And I'm Christian.
So today we're going to talk about what music we've been listening to, and then we're going to talk about side projects that ended up becoming massive in their own right, and that should be fun.
Yeah, some of these side projects, they end up outgrowing the original bands, don't they? Which is, kind of mad really. So yeah, stick around for that, and if you like this kind of stuff, drop us a like and subscribe, all that good stuff.
Press the buttons.
Press the buttons.
Press the buttons.
Yes, so let's get into it.
Alright, so lately I've been listening to a bit of a band called The Breeders. I watched a TV show that had some of their songs in it, and I'd heard of them before, but I never really listened to much of their stuff, but now I realise why they're such a big influence on a lot of my favourite bands.
Yeah, The Breeders. So Kim Deal,
Yeah.
obviously in the Pixies.
Yeah.
I believe she formed The Breeders.
Yeah, I think I like some of the Pixies stuff as well, actually.
Yeah.
So from what I've learnt from you and from my own research, she started The Breeders as a side project while she was still in the Pixies, and then the Breeders album Last Splash dropped, and the song Cannonball just blew up, and then the band kind of took on a life of its own after that.
Yeah, that song was everywhere, Cannonball, wasn't it? And I think, even if people think, oh, I don't know that song, you'd hear it.
Yeah, it's one of them.
And oh yes, I do know that.
I think what's cool is their influence. Like you can hear their DNA all over pop punk and grunge, and like Kurt Cobain was a huge fan of them, and apparently he actually wanted Kim Deal to be in Nirvana at one point.
That would have been interesting.
Would have been, yeah.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. So, what is it about the Breeders that's got you so hooked then?
I think it's the rawness. There's like this effortless cool to their music, especially their early stuff. It's kind of rough around the edges, but it's in a way that makes it feel more real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so we're talking about, raw, unpolished sort of
Yeah, I really
sound,
like that.
but,
Lo-fi.
but still catchy as well.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot around like that at the time. It was quite popular at the time, that sort of thing.
So what about you? What's been on your playlist?
Well, to be honest with you, I listen to different music virtually every day, but recently I've been listening to a bit of New Order. So you're probably aware that they formed from the ashes of Joy Division.
Yeah, and they've got a bit of a different style to Joy Division, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So Joy Division were, formed as a punk band,
Yeah.
then became a post-punk band. New Order took on a lot of the same influences, but they also got into dance music as well.
Okay, cool.
And decided that they wanted to, bring all those sounds together and create something a little bit different.
Okay. Would you say you prefer Joy Division or New Order, or would you say it's equal?
That's a good question. I think I like them both equally. They're quite, they're different in certain ways.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah, I couldn't really choose one. So yeah, that reminds me, Bernard Sumner, who is the singer, guitarist, keyboard player, main songwriter and influence in New Order.
Main guy, yeah.
He formed a band called Electronic
Okay.
with Johnny Marr, who was the ex-guitarist in the Smiths, and I think they've made 3 albums now. So
Cool.
there's some interesting stuff to check out there.
So is that a side project?
A side project, yes, that's interesting because that takes us nicely on to the next topic, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a fun topic. Bands that started as side projects but ended up being just as big, if not bigger, than the original band. And since we're talking about the Breeders, that's got to be the first one, right?
Yeah. So as we said, Kim Deal in the Pixies formed the Breeders as a side project, but then I think they just kind of took off, and they ended up having a big hit with the album Last Splash.
Really good album, that.
Yeah. Who else can you think of then?
I would say, although Foo Fighters themselves wouldn't count as a side project, Dave Grohl himself has been a member of many side projects.
Mr. Side Project.
Ones that come to mind are Probot, which was a project that leaned much more into the heavy metal genre, including Lemmy on bass and vocals, amongst other metal legends.
Yeah, another one that springs to mind is Them Crooked Vultures, which I believe was a side project for Queens of the Stone Age, who of course Dave has drummed with.
Also Eagles of Death Metal was
Yeah.
another side project of
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah.
And Dave Grohl's actually got a really long discography on Wikipedia. He's had so many bands and artists he's either played drums with or joined as side projects and all sorts of things. Now, I hadn't heard of this one before,
Mhm.
before researching for this video. But have you heard of a band called Mad Season?
Well, I have to admit I hadn't.
Well, you have,
Until you
have now,
introduced
until
me
we've
to them.
spoke about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
apparently they were quite underrated, but they were still really huge in their own way.
Yeah, so you've got Lane Staley,
Lane Staley, yeah.
Alice in Chains, Mike McCready, who went on to be in Pearl Jam.
Yeah. So this was before he was in Pearl Jam.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then I think they kind of took off when Pearl Jam did.
Yeah, exactly.
They only made one album, I think.
Yeah, Above it's called. It's quite popular. But I had to listen to that album the other day, and it's got that grunge feel. It's like quite grungy, but it's a bit more bluesy, a bit more spaced out, a bit more experimental. It's not the kind of stuff I'd normally listen to be fair, but I really enjoyed it. I especially like the guitar in the song I Don't Know Anything. Really nice, heavy guitar on that.
Sort of grungy kind of feel about it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and sticking with the grunge theme, Temple of the Dog.
Yes.
There's another one. So that was started as a tribute to Andrew Wood, who of course was a friend of Chris Cornell. That took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
After Pearl Jam took off.
Yeah.
Because there were members of Pearl Jam in Temple of the Dog as well.
Wow. But yeah, I listened to the song Hunger Strike, and that's a really good song. There's also bands like Boxcar Racer, which is a side project from Blink-182. Obviously, Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker are in that one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's a bit heavier than Blink stuff.
Yeah, perhaps less unpolished, bit not quite as accessible, more alternative.
Yeah, a bit more alternative.
Obviously,
definitely.
Blink straight pop punk down the middle, and they probably felt they didn't have the pressure to do that.
Yeah,
they could be a bit more experimental.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's quite interesting.
Who else do we know?
Well, we've got Damon Albarn, of course.
Yeah.
Who
from Blur.
Yeah. Who formed Gorillaz.
Yeah, Gorillaz. That's
now there's an example.
That's a good example of a side project.
Of a side project that has become as big as the original band.
Even
the
bigger. They're
main
bigger
band.
than Blur, I'd say these days.
Well, Blur are less active, to be fair.
True.
But yeah, so and also Damon Albarn had a project called The Good, the Bad and the Queen as well.
Not heard of that one. Cool.
So he's not quite on the same level as Mr. Grohl.
Yeah.
But he's done he's played with quite a few musicians himself.
That's what makes this topic fun. It's like you never know which side projects will take off, because some of them become even bigger than the original band, like Gorillaz, for example.
Yeah, definitely. It does make you wonder, doesn't it, what side projects are out there, and they're bubbling under, and we'll hear about them probably soon.
They could become bigger than a band that they're a side project of.
Exactly. They could very much.
Interesting stuff.
Yes.
Alright, we could probably keep going forever, but we'll wrap it up here. Let us know in the comments what's a side project you think ended up being bigger than the original band.
Yes, and what have you been listening to lately? Have you got any recommendations? What music should we hear? We're always interested in recommendations, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
Want to hear new music. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this.
Yeah, so also just to let you know that we only get together once a week for a few hours, which limits the amount of time we have together to do stuff. So don't be surprised if there's a bigger gap before the next video.
Yeah, our priority's always been music, hasn't it? It's always been about the music and being able to get out as much as we can.
Yeah, recording stuff.
So and we've still got plenty to
so much
to put out there. So yeah, I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, as always, we welcome any feedback on this or anything else. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.